What's up, Soul Sisters? Thanks for joining me for another episode of Turn Up the Love Live. I'm Sarah Pettis, body positive, intuitive eating coach, and the founder of TurnUpTheLove.ca, and I help serial dieters to stop obsessive calorie counting, exercising for punishment, feeling guilty around food, and having this really crazy self-critical body bashing going on by teaching them how to trust food and their bodies again. And let's face it, January is National Dieting Month, which is why this month we're talking all about how you can detox from diets. Okay, so if you are someone who is currently in the mud of dieting, if your motivation for getting healthy is purely to lose weight, or if you're someone who knows that they are so incredibly done with dieting, but you literally have no idea what the heck to do next, then you're absolutely in the right place today, okay? Because I am here to break down diet culture. I'm here to break down diet culture. And my goal is really to support women everywhere with this message because I know how seductive dieting can be, right? The propaganda of dieting. I know how seductive that can be. So my goal is I want to support women everywhere. So if you know someone who has been labeling their food as either good or bad, or they have been sort of internalizing messages to believe that they are good or bad because of the food that they've eaten, or if you know someone that believes that they are unworthy because of their body shape or size, or they believe that they are worthy because of their body shape or size. It can go either way. Or if you know anyone who's allowing the scale to determine their happiness based on the number on the scale or the size of their clothing. It could even be someone who is just absolutely obsessive about talking about food and weight and exercise constantly. If you know anyone that is like this, please share this message out to them, okay? Because, like I said, it's really important that we start really turning diets on their head and calling them out for what they are, so that way we can create a culture where diets do not exist, because that is not a world that I want my children to live in. I don't even have kids, but if I did, or when I do not want my children to live in a world like that. Okay? All right. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're actually talking today about how you can transition from dieting to intuitive eating. Okay, so we're talking about how to transition from dieting to intuitive eating. Okay, so first and foremost, we're talking about what in the heck intuitive eating is and what it isn't. We're also going to be talking about how you can tune in to your own body's needs, not what your body looks like, okay? Tuning into your own body's needs and not paying attention to what your body looks like. We're also going to be chatting about why what's hanging in your closet could be keeping you feeling trapped, imprisoned, and insecure by how you look, all right? And lastly, we're going to be chatting about the number one thing that you are probably likely forgetting when working on healing your relationship with food. Okay, the number one thing you're likely forgetting. So to kick things off today, why don't we start by you answering a question for me? Okay, I want to know, who here knows, raise a hand, give me an emoji, or drop me in the comments, who here knows that they have no choice but to leave diets behind in the dust in 2018? I almost said 2017. It's a habit, right? Getting into the new year. Who knows that they have to leave diets behind in 2018, but they are absolutely petrified as to what that even looks like? Because dieting has probably become such a norm to you. You might even be so deep in the mud of dieting that you don't even know that you're in dieting, right? And if that's the case, you need to be hanging out with me a lot more often because I'll be able to pinpoint that for you. But if you are petrified of what to do after leaving dieting behind, raise a hand or drop me a note in the comments to let me know. And a scale of 1 to 10, how terrified are you? 10 being so incredibly terrified and 1 being easy breezy, I got this. How are you currently feeling about ditching diets? Let me know. So when I first started on this journey 2 years ago, I was scared to death. Okay. I was afraid that I was going to, stop dieting and then gain all of my weight back because I had battled with my weight for pretty much my entire life. Or I was completely freaked out that if I let go of dieting, that I was going to completely let myself go. Right. And I didn't think that I would be able to stick with it. I was like, well, I've tried so many things, and it was either I was all or nothing. I was either on a diet or I was just binging, eating whatever the heck I wanted and just spiraling out of control, right? But mostly what I was most freaked out about was releasing control. I was terrified about surrendering to the process and trusting a new method, right? And leaving the food rules behind, it can be really hard, like extremely hard, if you have not yet built up your intuitive skills to know what you need to eat, what feels good for your body. It can be really scary if you haven't yet built those skills up, right? So I completely get it. I know that breaking out of this dieting box can be scary AF. I totally know that. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. The transition from dieting to intuitive eating, it can be long and hard and super awkward. It really, really, really can. Because it's so new, right? It's likely so new to you, right? But here's the thing. Diets, they do not work for anyone, for nobody. This is why the dieting industry is a billion-dollar industry, a billion with a B, because they make money off of your failures. They know it doesn't work. Best method ever, right? Best method. It doesn't work, so people keep investing more and more and more in it. They do not work, right? Success is not the typical experience. So if we know this, but yet we're really, really scared to stop dieting and making that next step, what do we do now? What do we do now? Okay? So has anyone else felt this way? Or has anyone done this? Has anyone had these same fears that I brought up? 10 being girl, and just rate it on scale 1 to 10. 10 being girl, you're a freaking fly on the wall. How do you know this much about me and where I'm at? And 1 being, I have no idea what the heck you're talking about. And we just had a question come in here. How do you shut up the voices in your head that yell about food and negative things? Yeah, that's what this really all comes down to, isn't it? It's the mindset behind all of this work, right? Because when we're in this culture of dieting, our mind gets so incredibly sucked into believing that we are not enough, believing that we need to change, believing that we need to eat clean and that we're dirty or something if we don't. It's created all of these awful voices in your head, like you said. And I call that my inner skinny bee. And it's a practice that you have to continuously show up for. And I'm going to be getting in a little bit today on how you can kind of get started in that process. So just stay with me, okay? Awesome. So first of all, let's talk about what in the heck intuitive eating is anyways. Because if you have been in the mud of dieting, you likely don't even know about this concept. It's probably so new to you, okay? So let me break it down for you. Intuitive eating. and you might want to write this down. Intuitive eating is a way for you to relate to food while also rejecting diets, okay? It's a way for you to relate to food while also rejecting diets. And what it does is it encourages people to connect to their internal body cues that you were born with. You were born with these cues of knowing when to eat and what to eat and what works for your body. When you were a kid, you did this naturally. Before you were taught diet culture, this is what you were born to know, right? And intuitive eating can also be broken down into three main areas, or main components, I guess we'll say. Okay, so the three main things that you need to know about intuitive eating. Number one, intuitive eating means that you have unconditional permission to eat, no matter what. Whether you have eaten a pizza last night and the next morning, like, you want to eat breakfast, you're starving, you have permission to eat. It's permission to eat even if you are living in a fat body. You have permission to eat. You do not need to restrict yourself, okay? It is always allowing you to have unconditional permission to eat no matter what. You are always worthy of food, okay? That's number one. Number two, it's where you are learning to rely on your own hunger and fullness cues. So once you've been dieting for years and years, dieting disconnects you from those natural hunger and fullness cues. So it's getting reconnected back to that. And this is tough in the beginning because you don't even know how to listen to that anymore. You've shut it out, right? Because of restriction. You're like, no, I can't eat. And you weren't giving yourself permission to eat. So it's really tapping in again to your own hunger and fullness cues. And lastly, number three, it's eating for physical rather than emotional eating or reasons, okay? So it's eating for the physical, not for emotional reasons. So it's eating to fuel versus eating to fill a void, okay? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Give me a hands up if that's making sense. So these principles, they may sound like they're super simple, but they're not always easy, right? Because, like one of our viewers said, it is the mindset behind it that gets you pulled back in, right? It gets you pulled back in. So what do we do next? What are the next steps? Where do we go from here, right? Where do we go from here? I'm going to break it down for you. Okay, so there's certain steps you can follow. So step one of really transitioning from dieting to intuitive eating is you absolutely have to get rid of the scale, the scale that you're weighing yourself on, that hunk of metal and plastic. Get rid of it. Cold turkey, check it out. Get rid of the scale. And your food trackers. Anything that you're using to track your food. Anything number related, get rid of it. Okay? Food trackers and the scale, be gone. Okay? So tell me, are you still weighing yourself on the scale? Are you using apps like Lose It or MyFitnessPal or who knows whatever new ones they've come out with since the New Year's kicked off? If so, hit me up in the comments below and tell me how long you've been using these tools for, whether it's scales or these fitness trackers, okay? So getting rid of the scale and any of these trackers, they're great because when you're using these trackers, they make you extra aware of your body size. Right? You're always aware. You always know where your body size is at because you're always tracking where you're at, right? Always tracking where you're at. Someone just said, don't count calories, count toxins. I can get down with that. I can get down with that, Mikhail. Thanks for popping that in there. Yeah. We don't need to be counting calories. I'm not a numbers girl. It's not my thing. So I just try to avoid them at all costs, right? But that's the thing, you'll become extra aware of your body size if you're always looking at the numbers. And again, you need to tune into what your body needs, not what your body looks like. We are living in a culture of differences, and we need to start becoming okay with the differences, the different races, the different sizes of people, the different hair colors, eye colors, piercings, tattoos, whatever it may be. We need to get comfortable with allowing people to just be as they are. Just because you are one way, that does not make you better than the other. We are all one, okay? So we have to stop worrying about what our bodies look like, and focus more on what our bodies actually need, okay? You'll never be able to do this if you stay stuck in tracking numbers, okay? And I'm sure you've been using these tools for probably years. I'm sure of it. If you have been in this dieting cycle, I'm sure you've been using these tools for years, and it's probably not working, right? So if it's not working, it's time to get honest with ourselves and ask why in the heck we're still doing it. No new tool is going to make a difference. It's all the same crap piled up into something else with a ribbon on it, okay? And if you want to know more about this, I actually wrote 2 super in-depth blog posts about this, okay? One that was all about setting yourself free from the numbers game and the 10 things that you can do instead. You can check that out on turnuplove.ca /numbers-game, turnuplove.ca /numbers-game, okay? So that's all about freeing yourself from the numbers game. And then I wrote another blog post about the scale and just getting rid of the scale. And it's called Dear Scale, It's Not Me, It's You. And that's on turnuplove.ca as well, /ditch-scale. Okay, so check those out. Give them a read. They're quite thorough, and I think they'll really help you to really reinforce this first step of getting rid of the scale and the trackers. Okay? So moving right along. Step number 2, I want you to wear clothes that fit you. Yes, wear clothes that fit you. So tell me this. Do you currently have clothing in your closet that are 1 or 2 sizes away from where you are now? I know I did. My whole closet was like an array of sizes. Yes or no, let me know in the comments if you have clothes in your closet that are like 1 or 2 sizes away from where you are now. Or if you have clothes in your closet that are an array of different sizes. And then tell me, or think about this, what memories do you have, or what memories have you associated with by wearing those clothes? What memories have you associated with by wearing those clothes? What energy are those clothes holding for you by staying in your closet? Do you feel vibrant, alive, healthy, and everything that you wanted to feel in your body when you wore those clothes? Or were you feeling restricted and trapped in those clothes and insecure and tight and consumed by how you looked? Really start to think about what the experience was for you when you're wearing those clothes, okay? Clothes in your closet. What I really want for you is, yes, to wear clothes that fit you, but I really want you to go out and find clothes that help you to not think about your body and to help you to not fixate on any of the physical changes that might happen during this process, okay? Because if you are trying to squeeze into these tight clothes, you're going to be feeling uncomfortable, right? Because you're like, oh, like I feel tight, I feel big, I'm always shifting around in my clothes. And if you're wearing clothes that are extremely loose, it's going to be the same thing. And that's constantly going to have you fixating on your body size, your body shape, which is what we don't want, right? So please stop holding on to items in your wardrobe that are energetically keeping you stuck in the past and at war with your body, okay? Don't keep several different sized clothings in your closet that you might fit into someday. Okay, these are going to have to go. They're going to have to go in order for you to make freedom with this, okay? And also stop buying clothes that are too tight or purely because of the label size. Don't just buy a size 7 or 8 or 6 or whatever. I don't like to even use numbers. Don't even buy a size for whatever reason just because it's that size and that's the size that you want to fit into or you used to fit into. Okay? Buy clothes that fit you. Don't even look at the label. Buy clothes that fit. If they don't fit, be like, I need whatever bigger size this is. Okay? Because it's all about how you feel in the clothes and not be constantly thinking about how you're feeling uncomfortable in the clothes. Okay? So on a scale of 1 to 10, is this making sense so far? Is this resonating with you? Hit me up with a 10 if it's hitting home, okay? I want to know where you guys are at with this, how it's feeling. And finally, I'm going to share the number one thing, like I promised, the number one thing that you are likely forgetting when working to heal your relationship with food. Okay? If you guys are ready and you're getting this, let's do it. Let's do it. The number one thing that you're likely forgetting when working to heal your relationship with food is give yourself permission to eat as much as your body tells you it needs. Give yourself permission to eat as much as your body tells you to, okay? Yes, I just said that. Yes, I just said that. So, are you someone, tell me, hit me up in the comments, are you someone who is conscious of the portion sizes on your plate when you're eating? Yes or no, hit me up in the comments. If so, if you are conscious, what does that look like for you? What does that look like for you? So when you start eating in a non-restricted way, you will probably start eating a lot more than you think that you should, okay? And the reason for this is that you have been, by doing diets and by always being in this cycle of on and off a diet, on track, off track, eating on plan and cheat meals and all this. When you've been in this cycle, chances are you've been undernourishing yourself for so incredibly long that your body needs to catch up. It is like in starvation mode all of the time. So you are likely going to eat more than you think that you should, but you have to remember that you have been likely restricting yourself to hit certain numbers and milestones so that you can fit into a certain size clothing, aka you have been manipulating your body to do what you want it to do. You have not been listening to your body. So we gotta make a change. So try something else, okay? Because you have been undernourished for so incredibly long. Plus, our perception of how much food we need to function like a normal human being has been so skewed because of diets. It's been so skewed, okay? And here's the thing. You cannot force balance. You can't force it, okay? It's about a mental and a physical well-being, not just the physical. It's also about mental, okay? And these two need to be measured throughout your entire lifetime, okay? Rather than these chunks and time spans of when you think that you need to improve. This is a life journey with your body. Your body has been here beside you, working with you, hand in hand, waiting for you to come home to her. And you've just been like pushing her away and not listening, right? So you have to remember, like, this connection, this balance here is about the mental and the physical and the spiritual and the emotional. And this is going to take time, right? So you really need to give yourself permission to eat as much as your body tells you. Trust your body. She is here to support you. She is not here to work against you, okay? So even if it feels like too much food, please be as compassionate and kind and loving as much as you can in the beginning. Okay? As much as you can in the beginning. Please do that. So those would be my 3 steps of really how to really start to make that transition from dieting to intuitive eating. I want you to just start there, okay? So just to recap, you are ditching the scale on your food trackers, number one. Number two, you are wearing clothes that fit you only and getting rid of anything that does not fit you and no longer serves you. And number three, you are giving yourself permission to eat as much as your body tells you to eat. Okay, start with these three things. I don't want to overwhelm you with all of the intuitive eating principles because I think you need to just start with where you're at. But if you can start with those three things alone will be killer, and they will just totally help you to start connecting with yourself, because we all have this intuitive eating muscle. We just have to strengthen it again. Okay, we're all born with it. It's our natural ability as human beings. So I'm just going to jump in the comments really quick and read some of these here. So we have some comments here about sugar. The force, the light, and the dark, a balance. Yeah, so balance really is about light and dark. It's about the yin-yang, right? Completely. As far as sugar goes, so someone says sugar is killer. So I actually wrote a blog post about sugar as well. And I feel like when you are working on healing your relationship with food in your body, labeling foods as being bad like that, like saying sugar is killer, sugar is bad, isn't really the best approach when learning how to heal your relationship with food. And the reason for that is if you're labeling food as bad and you're putting it into these categories, you're going to begin to restrict again. And when you begin to restrict, that's just going to put you back into this cycle of dieting, off dieting, right? So the best way to do it is just look at food as neutral. Just look at all food as neutral. And instead of like labeling food, ask yourself, how do I want to feel in my body? When you ask yourself how you want to feel in your body, you're going to eat foods that embody that. Okay, so by starting there, you're going to start to identify which foods work for you and which foods don't work for you. I don't feel that every single person needs to only eat certain things. I think that you need to do this journey on your own, be your own investigator, be self-aware, and sort of examine what foods work for you specifically and your body. And that means eating some of the forbidden foods that you have labeled as bad. It's exploring them again and finding, okay, does this food really not work for me, or does it maybe work for me in certain amounts? So just play here, just explore, okay? Don't make it so rigid. Just see what works for you and see what doesn't, because this is a process of unlearning diet culture. That is what's most important here. We first have to unlearn diet culture before we can even start to even think about putting food in categories. I don't even think that that's a good idea at all, okay? Because we're learning the language of trust and intuition. So if we trust our body, then we are going to make choices that are best for us, okay? It's trusting again, right? The whole world reinforces diet culture, okay? The entire world is reinforcing that. Remember that. Everywhere you go, diet culture is being reinforced, okay? And I know that that makes this process even harder and really confusing. But remember, food is food. It doesn't deserve the power that we give it. So stop giving it power and stop putting it into these categories, okay? And before I leave you, I want to leave you with this. Body acceptance, okay? Body acceptance and exploring what your body size means to you is absolutely key, okay? It is absolutely key. And if you do not like your body right now, that's okay. That is okay. You don't have to love your body in this process, okay? You don't have to love your body right now. This is a lot of unconditioning, right? But if you can come to this place of body neutrality, right? It just being neutral, like you don't love it, but you don't hate it. You're just kind of at this place of like, yeah, this is just my body. That can be so incredibly healing, okay? The goal is to just not think about your body all the damn time. because that's what we do. We're constantly thinking about our body all the time, right? So that is the goal, is just to not think about your body on a consistent basis, okay? And remember, we are completely untamable. You can't hold us down. We cannot be held down. And there is a life outside of this dieting cage, and you absolutely deserve to live that lifestyle, okay? Yes, I love that. You must unlearn what you have learned, right? You must unlearn all of this conditioning. You got it. You got it. Great comment there. Amazing. All right. So if you are tired of falling for the diet industry's tricks, if you're tired of these tricks and this nonsense, and you're really starting to see what this is all about, and you're ready to ditch diets in 2018 and make peace with food and your body instead, I created this really super easy, quick quiz that you can use to determine where you're currently at on this journey to ditching diets, okay? And it's really great because once you've done the quiz, it will tell you where you're at, but also what steps you can begin to take to move forward. So that way you know where to go from here, okay? So I'm going to encourage you to take that quiz. It'll only take you about 2 minutes to complete. It's multiple choice. You just have to answer the question that sounds the most like you and where you are. So if you are watching on Instagram, you can actually go and take that quiz right away. It's in the link in my bio right now. It's at the very top. So just click that and you can be on your way to completing the quiz. It'll take you, like I said, less than 2 minutes. If you are watching on Facebook, I'm going to be leaving a link for you to go and take that right now. So that way you can also take the quiz. And then if you are watching the replay of this video, you can actually take the quiz by just scrolling below and you'll see next steps there. And that's where you can take the quiz, okay? Because I know that when you're first hearing all this information, it's extremely hard to differentiate between, you know, whether your actions are in diet or in that diet mentality, or if they are coming from an intuitive eating place, right? It's challenging to differentiate between the two. I know that. So I figured this quiz would be a really good way for you to get started. But if you do know, like if you are 100% sure, like you're like, yeah, I am stuck in diets and I need to get out of them ASAP. I need to find something to get me there. And you don't really know where to start. I've also created a 2-week intro program. It's just 2 weeks long. Because this work is so incredibly different from any other dieting tricks or schemes you've probably done, I wanted it to just be a short and sweet 2-week course to kind of get you in the mindset of what this work looks like. But really, it was designed to help you to dive in deep and uncover the patterns behind why you are self-soothing with food. Okay. It also helps you to interpret your food cravings and listen to your own intuition. So it's really learning to flex that intuition muscle when it comes to what to eat, when to eat, and how much. Okay. So if this sounds like something you can get down with, the link to join the Reconnect with Food program, again, if you're on Instagram, it's in the link in my bio. And if you're watching on Facebook, I'm going to be leaving it in the comments for you. Okay. But I really hope that this was helpful for you guys. I hope that through listening to this, you're really starting to see the importance of transitioning to an intuitive way of eating and living and being. We have so much important work to do in the world, and the food stuff is really the surface. So I just really want us to eliminate all of this food chitter chatter so we can start moving on with our lives and doing things with our lives that are way more fulfilling than diets ever will be. Okay, so I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for joining me and watching another episode of Turn Up the Love Live. I will be back next week, Wednesday. And instead of going live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm actually going to be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because I know a lot of people have been wanting to catch the live episodes but haven't been able to do so because they've been at work. So we're going to be doing a later episode next week. If you want to be notified for when I go live, you can check out my page on Facebook, check out Turn Up the Love, and you can be notified for when I go live there. Okay? Thank you guys so much for joining. You've been an amazing audience and support system, and I will see you guys next week on Wednesday. Bye for now.